Welcome to Write to Publish, your go-to podcast for all things writing and publishing. I'm Karen Stanley, a 14 times published author and the founder of Mabel and Stanley Publishing. Join me as I share a multitude of tips and insights drawn from my own writing and publishing journey. We'll be hearing from some inspirational authors too, who will share their writing experiences and top tips for success. Each week, we'll learn about an aspect of writing, from composition to genre and from publishing to marketing. Listen in as we learn and chat about all things writing and publishing, and let's get you on the right path.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Write to Publish with me, Karen Stanley. Lovely to have you all joining me here again today. We have got listeners from all over the world downloading the podcast, which makes me incredibly proud and humbled. So welcome wherever you are in the world today. So today we're going to talk about two bugbears of writers everywhere, and that is overwhelm and procrastination. And trust me, if you are writing at the moment, do not beat yourself up. Do not underestimate how difficult a process it can be to write and produce a brilliant story that readers want to engage with. I'm on book number 15 now, and I promise you book number 15 has caused me more trouble than all of the 14 books that preceded it. So no matter how long you've been writing, there will be times when you struggle with procrastination, when you struggle with overwhelm, or when things just don't seem to flow as efficiently as they might normally. So do not beat yourself up. Do be kind to yourself. So let's have a little look. If you're someone who wants to write but feels stuck, overwhelmed, or just plain procrastinating, then this episode really is for you. And as I just said, starting a book or finishing one even more so can feel daunting. There's the blank page in front of you, the self-doubt, the distractions, and suddenly organising your sock drawer seems like the best idea you've ever had. We've all done it. We've all been there. I've never had such a tidy house as when I have a project to do. So here's the good news. This doesn't mean you're a bad writer. It just means you're a human writer, which is in this world of AI is a wonderful, wonderful thing. So today we're going to break it down into practical ways to manage your mindset blocks, to build your momentum, and most importantly, to create a sustainable writing habit that actually works for you. Everybody's writing process, writing routine, writing schedule, writing ritual is different from the next writer. So do not feel that you have to dance to the beat of anybody else's drum. Just find what works for you. And if you're ready to take things further, I will be sharing a little bit more about my Kickstart Your Fiction Writing Journey course, which is a shameless plug on this episode, but it's really designed to help you move from I wish I could write to I'm finally writing, which is really my aim. I'm here to help with that. So let's think about procrastination. How about we reframe procrastination and rather say it isn't laziness, it's more protection. How about that? That's a bit of a curveball. Most of the time, procrastination isn't laziness. It's your brain's way of protecting you, actually, from fear of failure, fear of judgment, even fear of success. We've all done it. We've all self-sabotaged in order to protect ourselves from failing. And your inner critic is saying, what if I'm not good enough? What if this isn't good enough? Who am I to write a book? I'll start when I have more time, when the sun is in the most southerly point of the sky, all of that. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? So here's the thing. You don't have to silence that voice. You just need to stop it letting it drive the bus. So name it, acknowledge it, and then gently move forward anyway. So next time you feel blocked, write a 5-minute fear letter to yourself, yeah? Let it all out. Then write a response from your future self, the one who finished the book, and you'll be surprised how grounding that can be. So write down all of the reasons why you're scared or why you're stopping or why you're procrastination or why you're feeling overwhelmed, all of the blocks that you've got, and then write a response from your future self. The book's already written, it's published, it's doing amazingly well, and you'll be surprised how kind of it can reframe your thoughts. Our brains only think what we tell them to think most of the time, don't they? So if we can tell them to think something different, that's, it's classic sort of retraining your brain when it comes to phobias and fears and all of that. You're retraining it to think another way. And the next thing is start small. Start really small. One of the biggest overwhelm triggers is setting the bar too high. So I've got to write 2,000 words every day or I'm failing. what's the point of that? All you're doing is putting undue pressure on yourself and making yourself feel scared before you even start. So here's a better approach. Lower the bar, like really, really low. Give yourself permission to write even just 100 words a day or even 10 minutes. And that's it. Because whenever you smash that target, or whenever you do more than that, which you generally will do if the bar is low, the momentum will build. And momentum builds from movement, not from perfection. So you've just really got to start in order to build that momentum. So those 100 words will maybe turn into 300. Those 10 minutes might even turn into an hour. But if they don't, you still showed up. And that's what matters. Yeah. So set the bar lower. Don't set impossible targets for yourself, and don't set yourself up for failure. James Clear says, apparently, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That's an interesting take, isn't it? So, build a system that you can actually stick to. We've done it with diets, haven't we? I'm never eating chocolate ever again. On day 1 and on day 2, you're reaching for the dairy milk. But if we say to ourselves, okay, I'm not going to stop myself having chocolate, but I'm just going to make sure I only have a square. Some days that will go, do you know what? I don't even need that square. Yeah, same kind of principle, really. So let's talk about writing time now. People who know me will know I'm not a write every day kind of girl, which is why novel 15 is really tripping me up at the moment. I've been so busy helping other writers with Maple and Stanley Publishing and all of that I've not got back into that book in the way that I would like. And I feel like I need to park all of those things where I can commit to my writing process. I cannot write every day. I can't do an hour a day. It's too disjointed for me. I get started on that hour, then I have to stop. Then it takes me an hour to sort of get into my groove. I'm much better if I've cleared my diary and I've got 2 or 3 days to really throw myself in. Then I'll be hugely productive. That's just how I work. For some people, the big breaks in between that kind of action is not helpful, and they need to keep that sort of muscle memory going. They need to write every day. There's no right or wrong. What is one person's brilliant idea is another person's downfall. So, it might be, instead of trying to carve out sort of a rigid military style routine, definitely not my jam, try creating a ritual or something that signals to your brain, now we're going to write. Okay. Same as I've got an office in my home, and when I go to that office, I'm much more productive than if I sit on the sofa, because I get distracted by, the latest murder documentary, or I look under the TV cabinet and find there's a bit of dust that I simply must clear. I go to my office, it's a little haven, I shut the door, no one can bother me, I get stuff done. So try that with your writing. It could be that before you write, you always make yourself a cup of tea. It could be, you always put on a playlist to write. Me, can't have music in the background, get too distracted, but some people love it. It might be that you light a, scented candle. It might be that you write the same sentence as a warm-up every time, yeah? Your ritual doesn't have to be long, but it does have to be yours. You do have to own it, okay? And when you anchor your writing into something that feels good, you're more likely to return to it. Writing should become your guilty pleasure. It shouldn't be some kind of chore that makes you go, oh God, do I really have to do that? If it does feel like that, then you've got to ask yourself why you're doing it, because, the likelihood of you making megabucks from being a writer is slim. It's not impossible. So your motivations have to be for something other than financial. So, if it's for pleasure, then make sure the whole experience is pleasurable. You don't have to be daily to be consistent, as I just said. You could start with 2 to 3 sessions a week, for example, and build up from there. You could do 1 mega session a week, and that's always the way you write. But just make sure that whatever you do, there is some kind of, process, some kind of ritual to it, some kind of schedule to it. If you've got no schedule at all, then you're unlikely to start. That is the truth of it. Even if your schedule is loose like mine, if I've got no drive, my drive is to get that book finished by autumn of this year. So that's my drive. And quite likely, knowing me, I'll get to September and think, oh my goodness, I haven't written it yet. And I'll crack on. That's just me. But other people will need different goals, but you do need goals, really. And then really, think about a mindset reset, really. Progress over perfection. It's the same as trying to edit as you're writing. You hold yourself back, you stifle your creativity, you block yourself. Perfection is poverty, all of that stuff. More books are killed by the desire to be perfect than by rejection. Yeah. So if you're always waiting to be perfect and it never is, guess what? It's never going to get done. It's never going to be perfect. Spoiler alert right there. Not at first, maybe sometimes never. Who's read a book that wasn't perfect, but you still loved it? Yeah. You know, you could go back to a book 10 years after you've written it and still find ways to improve it, particularly if you've developed as a writer in that time. But if you wait for it to be perfect, the chance is that you'll never get going. Okay. Your first draft especially is allowed to be clunky, repetitive, weird, or downright awful. Actually, in fact, it should be. That's the job of your first draft. And then you trim and you shape and you refine and you perfect, because you've basically brain dumped all of your ideas. You've got everything out. Now it's a case of tidying up. So, you know, writing a messy draft at the end of the day is not failure. It's the proof that you've done the work. You can't edit a blank page after all. So instead of asking, is this any good? Try asking things like, well, did I move the story forward today? Or did I learn something about my characters? Did I actually show up and do some writing? You know, progress will beat perfection every single time. Without progress, you won't gain a momentum, Without momentum, you won't move further forward. So, you know, think about that. It's progress over perfection. So here's a quick exercise for you then. At the end of each writing session, jot down one sentence that celebrates what you did, not what you wish you'd done, what you'd rather have done, what you hoped for, you know, what you did badly, none of that. You know, build that self-trust one sentence at a time. It's a bit like a gratitude journal, really, isn't it? You know, write down one thing you're thankful for, or that you're proud of yourself for, or that you can celebrate in your writing journey. And that can be small or it can be teeny. It doesn't matter. It's still that little bit of progress. And also try to build a support system. Writing can feel quite isolating. By its very nature, you quite often spend time trapped in a room with just the cat and a cup of tea for company. So it can be quite isolating, but it doesn't have to be. For me, one of the most powerful ways that I found to move my writing on was to get myself a writing tribe. And I've now got a particular writing friend. We walk the dog at least once a week, and guaranteed we just chat about writing. We chat about our latest novels. We chat about where we are in that process. And there's nothing like that support of like-minded people to really motivate and get you going. So it could be a writing buddy who you just check in with weekly. It could be a group, that either gives you feedback as support or does writing sprints. If you're looking for a group, we have the Mabel and Stanley Writing and Publishing community that I run. Gorgeous group. We've got a Facebook group. I do weekly live Q&As in there. It also comes with a whole bundle of resources. It's £9 a month. I mean, let's face it, it's two cups of posh coffee, isn't it? So if you're looking for a writing tribe and you're interested in that, then please do get in touch, and we'd love to have you on board. And you can find out more about that, Karen, at mabelandstanleypublishing.com, or just hop onto the website, mabelandstanleypublishing.com, and you'll find it there. So, you know, any kind of group, whether it is the Mabel and Stanley Publishing community or not, having a group for that feedback, that support, make sure you value the voices within that group. So that's one caveat. I would say there are hundreds of writing Facebook groups out there, and quite frankly, some of the advice and feedback I've seen in those groups is shocking. And it's from experts in inverted commas who I wouldn't necessarily trust. So just make sure that the people you surround yourself with are voices that you trust. That's just the one caveat to that. You can get yourself an online course with other people on the same journey. And of course, again, this is the perfect time to tell you about my Kickstart Your Fiction Writing Journey course. So the course is designed for writers who are ready to stop thinking about writing and actually start doing it. And inside it, you get 5 video lessons, each only about 10 minutes long, and you get actionable lessons to help you get words on the page. There's practical tools to help you sort of get rid of that procrastination, the overwhelm, the self-doubt, and there's simple systems there to stay consistent even if you're busy. And again, on top of that, if you buy that course, the Kickstart Your Fiction Writing Journey course, again, that's only £9. You get the first month free. to the Maple and Stanley Writing and Publishing community, and then you can choose to stay in it thereafter for a monthly fee of £9, so that you don't have to feel alone in that journey. And so if you think, gosh, that is something that I'd like to do, actually, that is something I need help. The Kickstart course, it's got planning templates in there, it's got character profiling templates, it's got scene setting templates, all of the things you need, writing schedule, diary sheets, and things to do to help you get on that track, planning tools basically, to take you from sort of overwhelmed to actually writing. So if you think, yeah, that's something I would really like, then please do get in touch with me, Karen at MabelandStanleyPublishing.com. Put Kickstart in your subject line, and I'd love to chat to you about that. So sales pitch over, let's keep going. And then, finish what you start, even if it's imperfect. So sometimes we procrastinate, not because we're afraid to start, because we're afraid to finish, actually. Again, going back to that, because we feel like it won't be good enough, or we're going to fail, or, what if I can't? But guess what? Finishing means you've got to let it go, and we have to risk judgment. And worse, realise it didn't come out exactly as we imagined. But finishing is the most generous thing you can do for yourself and your readers. Things can always be improved. Things can always be tweaked. But if you never finish, how are you ever going to know? So if you feel the urge to quit halfway, remind yourself, done is better than perfect, and progress is better than potential. Get to the end, and then you can revise it. You can shape it, but first you have to finish. So there you go. Some doable ways to overcome writing procrastination and overwhelm. And here they are, just in summary. Reframe procrastination as protection. It's protecting you from that failure, but don't let that voice win. Start ridiculously small. Tiny little goals achieved are better than huge goals never started. Create a ritual that invites you into the work, something pleasurable, whether it's a cup of tea and a chocolate chip cookie, or whether it's, sitting in a beautiful place looking out at the ocean. Whatever that little ritual is that invites you to work and gets you motivated and makes that association between the pleasurable aspect of what you're doing and your writing, then that will help you on your way. Prioritise progress over perfection, as we've just said, and build your creative support system. Get yourself a writing tribe or a writing buddy, or, people around you who will understand where you're coming from and will support you through that. Again, caveat, make sure they're voices you trust, and trust yourself enough to finish. You can do this. You've got this. You're in the kind of 1% of people who actually write a book. Most people say they're going to and never actually, get there. So trust yourself enough. You've started, so you can finish. You've just got to kind of put the wheels in motion and get yourself the systems and the template to which to work to. And if you're ready to go from stuck to unstoppable, don't forget to check out the Kickstart Your Fiction Writing Journey. And you can send me an email, Karen at MabelandStanleyPublishing.com, and I will send you the link. And I would love to support you on your next brave step. I really do get pleasure, and I feel like a proud mother hen when my new writers finally get to hold their book in their hands. So thank you for being here. As always, you're not alone in this. Your words matter. Your story matters. So keep going, keep writing. Let's get you on the right path, and I'll see you all again next time. Take care now.